One of the most challenging things for new livestock owners is learning how to meet the needs of your animal when first aid needs to be administered. And in this occasion, it happens to be our goats. In this video, I'm going to show you how we took care of a very large gash on one of our milking does. But I thought I'd take this as an opportunity to show you how we're going to treat this wound. For those of you who would rather get right to how we administered first aid, I'm going to leave a timestamp below.
If you stay to the end, I'll show you how to drench your goat if you're by yourself.
But for the rest of you, here's the story of how it happened and why it happened. This year we have a very active herd share. And if you're not familiar with what a herd share is, in a lot of states, it's illegal to sell raw milk. But people can buy a portion or a share of your herd, and in turn, every week, they give you money for room and board of your animal, and you give them the product of their animal, which would be milk. Our herd share has been doing really well, and so I needed to purchase another milk doe. So I went back to where I got Maple, my herd queen, and we picked up her granddaughter Strawberry and brought her home. Come on, let's get you where it's dry. Typically, you want to quarantine any new animal for 30 days. This ensures no diseases come onto your farm that you weren't aware of. However, because I know my friend well and know that her herd is a clean herd, I felt okay about introducing Strawberry to her grandmother and her aunt, I would guess Sassy is. So I put her right in. Maple, where are you? Maple. Really? Maple. Come on. Come on out. Come meet your granddaughter. Come on. Introducing a new goat into a herd can be a stressful time, not only for the goats, but for the people that watch them work it out. You see, much like chicken flocks, goat herds are hierarchical. There's a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy within the herd. And when a new goat comes in, they need to find their place. And this is done by what looks like bullying, but it's really just establishing who's dominant in the herd. In this case, the new goat will come in this case, Strawberry, and she's a little intimidated. So I stayed around to watch to see what happened. This is what typical behavior looks like when establishing the hierarchy in the herd.
Just watch how these girls posture. Their backs are arched, their hackles are up, and they headbutt each other. Believe it or not, this is actually very mild. Many times you'll see a goat rise up on the back two legs and come down full force in a headbutt. This is all pretty normal. This isn't the only time you'll see this behavior. You'll also see it as young doelings grow into maturity as does, and they look for their spot within the herd, challenging some of the older girls. So intermittently, this will happen within your herd. Don't be alarmed. What's not okay is if one goat will ram the other goat right into a fence and be relentless and not let up. So that's what I'm watching for, to make sure there's no excessive force. As you can see, the introduction of Strawberry was all pretty relaxed. Nobody was super aggressive, and things seemed to be going really well.
After a while, I needed to go up, and it looked like they weren't completely resolved yet, but I wanted to make sure Strawberry was safe, so I put her in a stall. All right, Strawberry, I'll get you some water. Maple's welcoming you. The next day, I came down and let Strawberry out for a while and figured I'd leave them alone to continue figuring it out. Later that afternoon, I came down and saw this.
So, what we think happened is one of the goats, maybe even Maple, ran her into one of the fences where part of it was sticking out, and this is what it produced.
One thing we've definitely learned is that when you have livestock of any kind, there is always something that goes wrong. And this is especially true of goats. Really don't know where she found something to do that to, but I thought I'd take this as an opportunity to show you how we're going to treat this wound. It is a pretty sizable gash. So let's get started. First thing is I'm going to shave the area so that I can clean it properly.
By shaving this area, it also gives me a surface area with which the tape will stick. It won't stick on hair, but it will stick on the skin. The next thing I'm going to do is flush her wound with a gentle iodine wound spray. This is already diluted, so I'm just going to use a syringe and go ahead and squirt it. If you have straight iodine, you're going to want to dilute it before squirting it into the wound. Now, trust me, the temptation is when they start to move around like it's really bothering them, you're going to want to stop. But you can't. This is going to be part of what heals them, and although it might be uncomfortable for them, it's totally necessary. If you don't, this can allow infection to set in. Next, I patted the area dry with a small gauze pad. In order to avoid an infection, I'm going to pack that wound with triple antibiotics. The goal here is for it not to be infected and require oral antibiotics to be administered. Again, I feel bad that it's itchy for her and uncomfortable, but I know, just like with my children, sometimes we have to do the hard things in order to get better. All right, now I'm going to use this cloth tape to tape the gauze pad that has triple antibiotic on it onto the wound. I use the same cloth tape when I'm weaning the babies over the mom's teats, so I know it will stick on their skin. Just to be double sure, I'm going to use this athletic tape and put it in the opposite direction of the cloth tape, and that'll help keep it on as well. Now left just like this, it's not going to stay on long. You know how these animals are. So I'm going to have to wrap it. What I used is vet wrap or self-adhesive wrap. Before I put her back out with the herd, I'm going to take her temperature. This will allow me to know what her normal temperature is, and if there's any variation, that will indicate possible infection. Typical goat temperatures should range from 102.5 to 103.5. As you can see, she's kind of in that range. Last of all, to keep it free from dirt and flies, we put an old t-shirt on her. She didn't seem to mind too much.
All right, I have Miss Strawberry in here and it looks like, and I've had to adjust it a couple of times, it keeps sliding forward. So this time when I clean it out and rewrap, I need to try something a little different. You can see how it shifted off, and it was covered by the t-shirt, so that kept it clean and kept the flies off. But now I've got to try it again.
The first 2 days we flushed and then packed it with the triple antibiotics, but on the third day, Instead of using the triple antibiotics, we decided to go with honey. Honey helps to stop any kind of infection from setting in, but it also helps to expedite healing. Also, the second day that I changed the dressing, I realized there was actually a pocket of the wound behind the flap of skin. So I had to make sure that the honey went in there as well. Also, for the first 4 or 5 days, we went ahead and drenched her with a mixture of herbs called herbiotics from fir meadows. This will support her immune system and help her to fight off any kind of infection from the inside out. At day 12, I noticed that I had mostly healed from the inside out, and now it was time to put on my plantain and comfrey salve. You have to be really careful when using comfrey salve. If you put it on too early, the outside will heal before the inside has a chance to. So now the opportunity was right.
It's looking really good. All of that is dry. There's a little bump here, but I'm getting a feeling that will probably, because it's healing from the inside out, so I'm going to put some more salve on it and just keep an eye on it. It is completely dry.
So it did take almost 3 weeks. However, she never needed stitches, she never needed oral antibiotics, and she never got an infection. So we were able to effectively administer the first aid to her, and she recovered nicely. And since you've made it this far in the video, just as promised, I'm going to show you how to drench your goat if you are alone.
Here's something I wondered how to do when I first got the goats, was how to drench them when I'm by myself. Even the herbals we drench, so let me show you how I do it. Well, the herbals I'll sometimes drench, and for right now she's not eating really well, so I'm gonna go ahead and drench her. So first what I do is I'm gonna straddle her, but I'm gonna kind of sit with my thighs around her neck, secure her head. This goes on the left side and down her throat, that's why it's curved the way it is, and slowly put it in. That's a good girl. Oh, nope. And be careful they don't try to walk off on you, right? Right. No, no. Thing about goats is you have to let them know they don't get control. Once they think they have control, they'll be bossy as all get out. Hey, something I want to share with you, those who have been following along with our journey, this is Sassy. And remember, she recovered from borderline gangrene mastitis a few months ago. She's given me a half gallon of milk a day as a first freshener, but you should see how well her udder is doing. That's her morning udder. You can never tell that anything was ever wrong.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope that this video has been helpful and gives you the courage to do sometimes what seems like the most daunting task when it